We're back then with another gear showcase video for Outriders, and today we will look at the Devastator. We have in total 4 legendary sets to show off for them. Now there's 5 items in each of the sets, so in total that's 20 new pieces of gear, and that means we've got a ton of new mods to look at, and some of them look to be really pretty awesome. Now 3 of the sets will be brand new. They've just recently been leaked, I believe, and one of the sets was revealed on Twitter quite a few months ago, so it was easy to miss. I'll show off that set last for the people that have perhaps already seen it, so they can see the brand new sets first. But let's jump in and let's check these out. The first set we have here then is the SEISMIC Commander set. We'll look at the mods and then we'll check out the set bonus. We won't bother with the stats or anything on these items here, but looking at the first mod, Tier 3 mod, Ultimate Impaler. This will buff Impale, so the skill can be triggered 2 more times before triggering the cooldown. That's really quite powerful. Generally you see a skill that you can use it 1 more time, but 2, that's pretty awesome. And then we have Blood Shock, so when you use Earthquake you inflict bleed on enemies damaged by the skill. The set bonus, and bear in mind you only need to have 3 items on to actually use this, so that frees up 2 slots because you have 5 in total. But the set bonus is SEISMIC Commander, and with this you increase damage towards enemies with bleed by 150%, and you can see the mod we looked at a moment ago, Blood Shock, would actually add bleed to enemies there. Now let's check out the next piece. We have the upper armour up next. The first mod is Palisade, if that's how you say that. It buffs Impale. The skill can strike 2 additional targets. That'll go nice alongside the first mod we looked at. Use it more often and hit more enemies. And then we have Earth's Legacy. So this will buff Earthquake. This increases the skill's range by a whopping 60%. We then have the legendary gloves. So the first mod here, tier 3 one again, it's called Asunder. So when you use Earthquake, using the skill permanently reduces the armour of affected enemies by 20%. The fact that's permanent, that's really strong there. I wonder if that will apply to elites as well. That could be pretty amazing if that's the case. And then you have Ground Crush. So when you use Earthquake, it increases the skill's base damage. In this instance it says by 35, but don't worry too much about the numbers here. They will be changing as your gear levels up. We then have the lower armour. So the first mod is Life of the Party. It's going to be a great tanking one. Incoming damage is reduced by 5% for each enemy in close range. This stacks up to 8 times. That's a whopping up to 40% damage reduction. And bear in mind the Devastator has various other ways to up the damage reduction as well. And then there's Rivers of Blood. So this one here, it buffs Impale, increase the skill damage by 50% to enemies afflicted with bleed. Finishing up this set, we have another buff to Earthquake and Impale. So the buff to Earthquake is called Second Quake. The skill can be activated 1 more time before triggering the cooldown. And then we have Sharpened Spike. With this it buffs Impale, and the skill deals, in this instance it's 67 more damage. So interesting set there. It's got a little bit of survivability thrown into it, but by and large this is going to be your set if you're looking to run a damage build on the Devastator. We have the Cannonball set up next here. Now when I read these tooltips out, I'm actually reading them for the first time, so I'm quite excited to read this one given how that armour set looks. So you've got the first mod being Purity, reduces the duration of negative statuses by 75%. And then you have Bloodlust, so killing shots increase your firepower, stacks up to 3 times and deteriorates every 10 seconds. Let's see the perk we've got. It's called Cannonball. Killing an enemy with melee skill replenishes ammunition in your current magazine. Not that fast, I would say. It's probably one of the weaker set bonuses I've seen out the gear that I've looked at so far. We have Best of the Cannonball next, and quite funnily the mod is called Not Impressed, given I wasn't that impressed with the set bonus, but it's called Not Impressed. Reduces the damage taken from elites by 20%, quite situational that one. And then Buckshot Shells. Shotgun weapon damage is increased by 15%. That's decent, nothing really too special there. So let's see if this set gets any better. You've got the legendary gloves next. So you've got Captain Hunter, increases your damage against elites by 20%, again massively situational. And then Personal Space, grants you a 25% bonus to close range weapon damage. I'm really not feeling this set at all. We have the lower armour next. The first mod is Brawl, so this boosts your melee skill damage by 100%. And then Move Groove. Moving increases your anomaly power and firepower as well. Finishing up this set, we have the FOOTGEAR. So you've got Martial Arts, reduces the cooldown of your melee skills by 50%. That will be nice alongside the 100% damage increase. And then Phantom Dash. During combat, your default role is replaced with Phantom Dash, which enables you to quickly pass through enemies. That's actually really nice. I've seen someone on Reddit actually that had that on the Trickster, so this isn't only on the Devastator class. The Trickster can get it as well, and on the Trickster I think thematically it looks really nice. I'm not sure how much you would need it on the Devastator, but that's a Cannonball set. Not that impressed with that one. So let's see if this set's any better than the last one. It's the Marshal set. So with this you've got Wide Horizons. It will buff Endless Mass. Endless Mass, it's not in the demo, but it's when you throw out an obelisk and it pulls enemies towards it. So from a tanking perspective, it's really nice because you can tank via crowd control. But with this mod here, it increases the skill's radius by 25%. And then you've got Life Absorption. When you use Gravity Leap, you heal for 100% of damage dealt. If your target dies, you heal for 200% damage dealt. Using Endless Mass and Gravity Leap together are really nice. You pull everyone together and then you slam down on them. Now the set bonus we have, it's Endless Mass pulls enemies and makes them share damage. That could be really nice actually when you use your Gravity Leap if all the damage is going over all the different enemies that are nearer to it. The next mod we have here on the upper armour is High Intensity, so buffing Endless Mass. With this, anomaly damage against affected targets is increased by 33% for 5 seconds, and your anomaly damage will be coming via Gravity Leap. The next mod we have here, called Human Comet, love the name of that one, increases the skill's damage. I won't read out the damage numbers because they're not really relevant and they will change, but the combination of the two together, you're going to be putting out some nice damage numbers. We then have the Marshal's Gauntlets. This one you've got double jump, so skill can be used twice before triggering the cooldown. That's pretty awesome. The skill is Gravity Leap. And then you have Shattered Armour. So with this it's buffing Endless Mass, increased weapon damage against enemies affected by 10% for 10 seconds. Looking at the lower armour next, we have the first mod is Adrenaline. This is actually a tier 2 mod. So that is interesting. Now, I'll probably say, bear in mind that these were light, so maybe they're not final. Seems strange for a gear piece to have a tier 2 mod, but it's Adrenaline. Whenever your health drops below 30%, all your skill cooldowns are reduced by 50%. And then it's also got Bone Crusher, so this will buff Endless Mass, increase the skill's damage in this instance. The final item we have for this set then is a legendary FOOTGEAR. So the first mod is Despair. When you use Gravity Leap, enemies within the damage radius of Gravity Leap will receive 1.5 times more anomaly damage for 5 seconds. That'll work nice with the ability that allows you to have multiple charges of Gravity Leap. And then also Bleed Them All. So with Endless Mass, inflicts bleed on all enemies pulled by this skill. This, along with the first set that had some boosts to the bleed damage you've done, that could actually work really nice together. But that's the Marshal set. That's much better than the last one we looked at. Let's check out the final set now. We'll run over this one nice and quick because, as mentioned, it had been revealed on Twitter a few months back, but it's a DEATHPROOF set. The set bonus on it's amazing, but let's look at the mods first. So you've got Primal Weakness. When you use Boulder Dash, when you essentially just run towards enemies and smash into them, you permanently reduce resistance of all enemies' damage by 50%. That's an absolutely huge amount. And then Primal Chain Gun, once again buffing Boulder Dash. Every enemy damaged by the skill increases your weapon damage by 20% for 5 seconds, stacks up to 5 times. Looking at the set bonus in this, reduces the cooldown of Boulder Dash by 90%. Now we were showed a video clip of this, and you could essentially use it every 3 or 4 seconds or something like that. It was absolutely crazy. Moving on to the upper armour here, we've got increased duration. This is for Reflect Bullets. It increases the skill's duration by 40%. And then you've got Primal Armour. When you use Boulder Dash, you double your armour when the skill ends for 10 seconds. That, alongside the set bonus of reducing the cooldown by 90%, means you could essentially have this up basically at 100% uptime on it. Looking at the gloves next, so we've got Kingslayer, tier 3 mod of course. Critical hits on an elite increase your firepower for 8 seconds, very situational. And then bullet acceleration, so with Reflect Bullets, increase the damage of reflected bullets in this instance by 77, so nothing too special there with them. Moving on to the lower armour, we have Not Impressed, reduces the damage taken from elites by 20%. We've already talked about how situational that is. And then Auto Reflect, which is absolutely incredible in the demo. So with this, you reflect bullets. You can now fight while the skill is active, but you cannot manually deactivate the skill, and it only negates 50% of damage. Final item we have then is a legendary footgear. So you've got Life of the Party. I believe I've seen that already in this video. So incoming damage is reduced by 5% for each enemy in close range, stacks up to 8 times. And then you have Primal Constitution. So with Boulder Dash, each enemy you damage increases your health for 10 seconds, and this stacks up to 5 times. So I can see why this is called the DEATHPROOF set. When you're looking at all the bonuses you're getting alongside it, you're going to be really hard to take down. So I think out of the sets we looked at, it was probably the last two that I would say are potentially my favourite. So I quite like the SEISMIC set, the first one as well, but that Cannonball set, I wasn't feeling that at all. Now let me know what you think of all these sets in the comments below. If you enjoyed the content, take the time to hit the like, share and subscribe button, and thanks for tuning in. Stay safe and I'll see you all again soon.